Okay, I am preparing to start work on the two Warlords boards, which means I have to make a harness. So I went through my junk wire here and cut away a bunch of wire. And right here is how I make the harnesses. I just kind of list what's going to be what. And then I wire it accordingly to my JAMA connector and bring that down to an edge connector to plug into the board. So this is actually two plugs. One of these is a 22 pin. I think up to right here is the 22 pin. The 12, 24, and then the 22, 44 starts. It's just going to have that. It's just basically power, and the rest of it's all the input and stuff, video. So I'm going to go ahead and wire that up, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, progress on the harness. You can see here, this is my parts side to this. So we've got our ground, +5, -5, 12, red, green, and blue, the audio, and over here is black and white, ground and video. Which I'm going to have to, because right now I've got it to where black and white video just ties into red on this. I'm going to make a dedicated black and white video signal out of this pin right here. So I'll be able to either do this in black and white or color. And there's a couple things on here, green and composite sync. That's 22 volts and audio too. It goes to the AR. So now I'm gonna go ahead and solder this onto the connector according to the pinout for Warlords. And also I have here the power and ground for the pots, the 4 pots. And these are my 4 pot signal wires, which I ordered like a 10-pack of 5K pots. So when I get those, I'll wire in the pots to the connector so that I can test each, you know, how they go up like this and stuff in each 4 corner. I'll be able to test and make sure that that circuit's working. Okay, Warlords. I have my harness done. Well, it's not done. This is the pots. I'm thinking about putting a harness on here, like a 6-pin harness, and then making something to where I can bring it over here and move the pots just with a 6-pin plug. But this here, I read that you have to ground the cocktail pin if you're using RGB output, otherwise it won't output blue. So the cocktail pin on here is grounded. And this is what I'm getting, which just looks like a RAM problem. It's probably just video RAM or something to do with RAM. So I'll put the fluke on it, and this one should be no problem at all. I'm going to do a little sound test. I got hooked to ground here, and I've marked start 1. And I hear sound. There's that little guy right there. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but sound works. Well, the sound definitely works, but yeah, I'm going to have to put the fluke on it and make sure all the ROMs are good and all the RAM is working, which I suspect it's not. Something's going on. Okay, I did two things. Number one, I did decide to go ahead and put a 6-pin plug on here, which I will, when I get those pots in the mail, I'm going to make a little, I don't know if I'll make anything to put them in or anything, but I'll have like a harness for those to plug into that so that it's not such a mess. And I'll make it nice and long so it comes around, you know. And I also did go ahead and I ran this video, the black and white, up through here and into here. So I got a new pin. I got a new black and white pin. You can see right there it says BW. So I can now hook up my black and white monitor back there, which I will do at some point. But as for now, I'm okay with this. So I think the next thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting on the pots to come in to test, so I just want to be able to test the circuits that move the stone things, is I'm going to put the fluke on it and go through the ROM and the RAM. Okay, I changed the dip switches to match. This is MAME. This is 4-player cocktail, which is what this is. I did put this thing into test and it told me nothing. So I'm kind of thinking this is not a RAM problem or a ROM problem. It might still be a bad ROM, but I doubt it. Because self-test passed, apparently. But it definitely looks like some kind of an addressing issue or something, because this is in the wrong spot. And let me start the game on MAME. Okay. Oh, how do you start the game? Here we go. Yeah, see that? The dragon's flying in the middle. Yeah, the dragon's flying in the middle, and over here, everything is kind of stuck at the bottom. And that kind of tells me that there's some kind of an addressing issue. Not really positive yet, but we'll have to poke around and see what's going on. I think the first thing I am going to do, though, is I'm going to do like I had originally planned. I'm going to put my fluke on it and go through it. Okay, I got the fluke out. I went through all the ROM. No problem. I went through the work RAM, the CPU RAM, no problem. And then I got to the playfield RAM, and I have a bad chip. It's giving me FO, and if I hit repeat, it just does the same thing. Repeat, 410, always 410. Address 410. So it's basically telling me that every bit from one of the RAMs is bad. So that's either true or there is an addressing problem to one of the RAMs. But I'm going to suspect it's just a bad RAM, but I don't know why I put it into test and it did not kick an error for a RAM. So I'm going to get my logic probe out and I'm going to find out what RAM is in that range and try to narrow this down. Okay, this is interesting. It's always 10. See, I'll do a RAM short at 400 to 7BF. That is the playfield RAM range right there. It says 410. Okay, let's do a RAM short at 600 to 7BF. 610. RAM short at 500 to 600. 510. RAM short at 550 to 600. 550 to 600. It's always, because that's it. We got a stuck bit. That's what it is. There's a stuck bit. So if I do RAM short 600 to 601. Let's get the old pen and paper out here. Okay, pen and paper. 16-bit address. And let's do RAM short 400 to 7BF. 0410. It's always this bit. It's always the 1. It's always the second group. This guy's stuck right there. So if I go, let's say we go 400 000, as long as this is 0, I think we'll be okay. But that's going to be toggling constantly. I think it's, no, I think it's, no, it's, yeah, it's this bit. That's 400 right there. So if I go for, oh, I don't know, 8, but it's gonna get stuck right here whenever this goes. This one can be anything. So let's do 40 to 40F. So let's go RAM short 400 to 40F. That's fine. The minute that we try to do something with this guy right here, it fails. With that guy, the 0. The minute we try to toggle that past 0, it will fail. So this guy right here is stuck. That's 0, 1, 2, 3. It's address bit 4. So I'm going to look into that and find address bit 4. Look into the decoding. Something's funky there. Okay, playfield address selector. It gets its inputs from the MPU data bus, which I know is good. And then from the sync generator, it gets all of these horizontal and vertical lines, which I know are good. And here is playfield address 0 through playfield address 7. Which one was the bad one? 4? It's got to be this chip, LS257, at something 6. I don't know what that is. I think this one says H6. Is that J? I don't know. It's a 257. So let's look for a 257 at something 6. I can't do it like this, guys. I'm sorry. I got to get my magnifier out. So I'm going to look for that 257. Now this is something that is very interesting. I'm just going along and probing with my logic probe the outputs, the output pins of the RAM. And 2101, the outputs are on 10, 12, 14, and 16. Those are the outputted bits. So here's 10. You can see there's 10, 12, 14, and 16. You know what would be actually a better idea is to look at these on my scope. So I'll get that thing fired up. Anyway, these two RAMs right here. Here's the output bits. Nothing. Nothing. Almost nothing. And almost nothing. And on this one, nothing. 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 And stuck high. So I'm curious about these two RAMs right here. I think I might just try to jump a couple RAMs over them and see what happens. I think I'll try that. Okay, I got two RAMs just jumped over. Those two. And you can see I have a good improvement. This thing is now flying a little more over everything. And I can see my text a little bit better. I think this is just a flat out bad RAM on this board. I wish this, and see now these are straightened up. These guys are straightened up over here too. You notice before they were really messed up kinda. I'm just going to replace those two RAM, and I think that's all it's going to be. I don't know how this self-test is supposed to work because I put it into test and it doesn't tell me anything. No beeps, no nothing. So I don't know. And these two RAMs have got to have something to do with what the fluke was telling me. Anytime that second, you know, the 400 address range, the middle 4 bits in there, whenever it was an odd number address, it would kick back and say all bits are bad on one side of the RAMs or whatever. No, these two RAMs right here have to have something to do with that. I'm not exactly sure about what was going on there. I just do believe that this is I just think this is just a bad RAM error, bad RAM on the board. So I'm going to replace these two guys. Okay. Replaced the two RAMs. And this was a hack right here. This was a hack. I did replace these two 257 muxes prior. And it turned out that wasn't the problem. It was just bad RAM. But I didn't hook this hack back up. It might have been a factory hack, I don't know, but I'm going by what the schematic does not have this being the select bit for this is coming from 4H in the schematic, so I'm going to keep it the way the schematic had it. But yeah, just replace those two RAMs. And there it is. Just a couple blown out RAMs. I wonder why test mode did not give me any indication of bad RAM. That's a pretty weak test mode, really. And Atari's usually pretty good with their test modes, but that's something good to know. If you're ever working on a Warlords board and you got bad RAM, don't count on that test mode. Yeah, it looks good. Looks exactly like it should. Okay, so let's put it into test and see what test does. It just says RAM okay, ROM okay, dip switch settings, and I imagine you probably use the pot, you know, your pots. I did get my order of pots in, so I'm going to complete my harness with pots. So that'll be cool. But yeah, simple fix. Bad RAM. And I want to run this thing. Let's go start one. Oops. I unhooked this. There we go. I gotta coin this thing up. There, coin is in. Now the dragon's flying correctly. Yeah. Sounds good. I guess I started a 2-player game because I got 2 guys. This is cocktail mode, so sounds good. I do need to do a pot test. You see, your players have a crown, and the computer players are Darth Vader. Freaking cool. All right, I'm gonna get my harness completed, and then we'll test the rotary controllers on here. Okay, now I've got my other part of the harness made here. I got my plug and my pots, and they're labeled on the back 2, 3, 1, and 4. So we'll be ready to plug that into the main harness here and test the pots. Okay, we're all hooked up, and I have it in test right now. So this little fireball up here is what moves when you move the pots. So I will move first 1. If I can find it. This is 1. So you'll see it moves like that. See that? Now I'll move 2, which is right here. So you can see it moving. Now I'll move 3, and there it goes, 3. And finally, 4. So let's take it out of test. Okay, it's now out of test. Now I'm going to start a 4-player game. Coin up. And start a 4-player game. So well, apparently I only started a 1-player game. There I am. See, I'm moving this guy up here. And I only started a 1-player game, and it's moving good. So they're all tested. They all worked. I'm moving this guy right here. Sweet. Well, that's it for this guy. I'll call this guy good. Got another Warlords board coming up. Thanks again, guys. See you on the next Warlords. Awesome. Awesome game. And lastly, I have hooked it up to my black and white as if it were being used in an upright. The upright is mirrored and it uses an overlay and a 3D backdrop. So that is what it will look like for an upright cabinet. And it uses a 23-inch monitor. So, yeah. All right. That will conclude this repair. Just verifying that it's working in this mode. Okay, I have, after 1 hour, this Warlords board has run 1 hour, and I'm starting to get some funkiness. This is why you let them run for a while. So what is that? Well, let's put her into test. See if it gives me all RAM good or what. Test is right here. And right here. Okay. RAM okay, ROM is still okay, but I've got garbage going on. I think that has something to do with the circuitry around these ROMs right here. That is what I believe. So, I will look into the schematic about the graphics ROMs and see if we can't find an issue just when you think you're done. as you can see, the condition has worsened. I was looking over the schematic, and there is motion object circuitry, both vertical and horizontal, which I do not believe is any kind of an issue, because the motion objects move as they should, horizontally and vertically. Then there is circuitry that is called ROM picture data. That is where this problem is going to be, in the ROM picture data. And I pulled both of the graphics ROMs out of the board, and I still had all of the text. So that doesn't even have anything to do with that picture data. That's probably the proms. There are multiple proms on this board that probably handle all of that. I didn't get into that part of the schematic at all. But the ROM picture data, how it works is data that comes out of the playfield RAM is latched and goes, basically that creates the address for the two graphics ROMs, along with like 3 bits that come from the vertical and horizontal motion object circuitry. So that could still be an issue, but I doubt it. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think that it's after the latch. It's either the latch or after the latch. And I think it's after the ROMs. It's either the latch that the data comes out of the RAMs and goes to, and then that is used for picture data information, or it's after the ROMs. I don't think it's a bad ROM, even though I am going to check the ROMs. But I don't think it's a ROM. I think it's after the ROMs and heading out to the monitor. So that's where I'm going to look. Okay, I have loaded up 6E in my programmer. That's the ROM. I just called it war.6e. And these two graphics ROMs are the same ROM. 137159. 137159. So I'm just verifying them against the MAME file. And this one passes. I'll do it again. Passed. Put the other one in. Verify it. And it fails. So apparently it looks like I got a bad ROM. I want to exit. I want to load the ROM from this 7406. Let's do it again. Yep, 73F8. And let's do it again. And it stayed 73F8. Let's do it again. And it stays that again. It's supposed to be 6 something. Oops. And that's the correct file right there. And this one right here is loading up something totally different. 73F8. And it won't even verify for what it loaded. This ROM is no good. So, and that's not where it lost it, it's just a bad ROM. So I am going to grab a 2716 out of the pile. Sorry about the jerky camera work. And let's reload. Okay, let's load up this again. Okay, and let's program this. Okay, now we're programming the ROM. And being patient. It should be finishing up here pretty quick. Almost done. Come on. Alrighty, this is ridiculous. I will cut back in when this is done programmed. Now it's okay. Now it's done, and it passes. Okay, so we're going to remove this, get this all out of the way, plug it into the board, and see what we get. Okay, this is the motion object circuitry for horizontal. These two RAMs are 27LS00 RAM. And I probed the outputs and they both looked funky. They just didn't look right. I guess I should have shown that. I wish I would have now, but I didn't. But they just didn't go high a lot. I don't know, it's kind of weird. They just looked funky to me, so I replaced both of these RAMs. And we are back to good. So it is these two guys right here. I replaced both of those. And that was it. So now I will rerun this thing, let it run for another at least 3 hours. Hopefully it doesn't flake out again. But yeah, one of those RAMs went bad, if not both of them. So, okay, that's it. So anyway, what did we do here? We had two bad RAMs, and I did re-hook up the factory, what Atari did. What change they made, I re-hooked that up. I had a bad ROM. Remember that ROM flaked out? That was really weird. But I got a new ROM programmed in it. I'll put a window cover on it. And the two RAMs up here. And this chip, I accidentally cut them out because I basically, if I'm replacing a chip, most of the time I cut them right out of the board. And I accidentally cut this one out instead of this one, so I replaced this. and I replaced these two guys. Yep. That's basically it. We're running good now. And we're going to fire the thing. I'm going to fire the thing up. I'm going to go ahead and let it run through. I'll let it play through, and then I'll retest all of the pots. Hopefully this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll be starting a new Warlords board really quick. But first what I have to do is I'm doing a maintenance repair on a Galaga, which is just replacing sockets. So I'm not going to bother with filming any of that because it's just replacing sockets. So no big deal. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and let this play through a little bit. The Nintendo monitor looks really good. Working out well. About dead. All right, see you on the next one.